All right, today's job, by the way, I'll get to the details, but to take off the front grille, no screws. All you need to do is just that lot of tabs, and I'll show you how to do that. But if you do want to take this little cover off, which is from here, all you have to do is press down on the inside of each of these and pull outward perfectly. You didn't need to do that. Same thing with this grill. You don't need to take that. There's 1 here, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, the 4 are like this, and then there's 2. They go. It's actually the same ones I just now noticed, but I like to separate everything just to make sure. So the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to put these fog lights inside, and I want them to be mounted here so they don't vibrate on the plastic. The other thing I want to do is I purchased these. Where is it? These little sensors, and what that's going to do is give me some car distance detection. So on the front and the back. So I've got black and white, and the reason being is because I need 2 black ones for the front, and then I need right around here, probably right there, the white. So let's see how this goes. All right, look at my mess. All right, so there's the finished product. So I soldered it. I then wrapped each in loom, and then I wrapped both with tape. So, and I put for future, I put this mount here and this mount here, and then I'm going to take a bracket and put it there just for more reinforcement, and then go down. All right, so let's check out how it's going to look. So as you can see, I put the 2 little sensors, and notice that there is a up. So these you have to make sure and put them, let me zoom in. See how it says up there? So you got to make sure that that's facing up. The whole, the circular saw, hole cutter that came with this is actually a little too small, but they probably do that just to make sure, and then you sand down the rest and it's a snug fit. And then what I did is I put all the wiring inside this loom, and then I have it loomed. And then if you go up through right here, right above on the top right of the front grille, and it comes out right there, right underneath the headlight. I wasn't sure if I was going to loop it around here, so I put it on the front because I didn't know if the radiator. So, all right, let's put this thing back on and see how it looks. There she is, sensor 1, sensor 2. And then I'm gonna see, if not, I'll put a white one here on each corner, but I'm gonna see how these 2 do by themselves. And then I've got the 2 lights. I wanted them hid, so I've got them. This was a pain in the you-know-what, and if I had to do it over again, well, I probably would, but I probably wouldn't even do it. It was a hassle. It was a hassle because you have to do a lot of custom. But I'll link to these here below. These are just from Amazon, and I think they're from Amazon. I'll have to check. And these are definitely from Amazon. But just remember, with these here, there's an up, and you don't want to make it so tight because it can interfere. When you push it, don't push on the sensor, the middle area, push on the outside of those sensors. switch, and that switch goes to my new fog lights, and that's also running off a fuse. So I ran the power from underneath, and then I made a master ground right here, and I gave myself 2 leads right there. I'm putting in, as you see here, this is the control module for the parking rear and front sensors. If you see the blue right there, that goes to the back for the brake lights. The yellow goes for the reverse module, so if you put it in reverse. So I ran that through the jam, went underneath, started going back here, and ran through there. Now, I actually tapped in on one of them here. But unfortunately, what happens when you start tearing stuff out, you notice things. Let's go take a look at this. Look at that. There's mold on that. So it's a tough one, but we gotta do it. All right, last night stayed up late. My footprint there, and I worked on this. So I ended up taking the drill, this here, with that wire brush, and I took some of the rust. There was just a little rust here and there, like the seams and those kind of things. So I took and brushed all the rust. There was like a little bit right there. There's a little bit here, nothing major at all. It's just probably from water that got in here and it just sat in here. And sealing some of the little holes, and put grommets on some. It was missing some grommets, and that's probably how it got water in this little area right here. So we put a grommet back in so that water doesn't do that anymore. Not only that though, I'm going to, I got some of that Flex Seal tape, and some of the places like the anchor points that I'm not going to use, I put Flex Seal tape there, and there. And this one had some scratches, so I painted it, and then I'll put some Flex Seal tape on there. So yeah, it's coming along, but this area is ready for these tanks. So this tank and that tank will go right here and right there. Not my idea. Saw a couple on YouTube that did it, and then they put both of them together with a hose. So you'll have a fill slot, you'll fill the tanks with an overflow, they'll fill, and now there's 2 7-gallons totaling 14 gallons on board for this wasted space. So I really want to get to start running my wires, because I want to get the wool already, start stuffing all the holes with the wool. So I got to run all my cabling and such. This is the Grille. It's like flex tape, but the Grille got better reviews. And there was a person that had a roof damage on her van on YouTube, and she said she tried Flex Seal, she tried Flex Seal, she tried multiple things, and it didn't work. She tried this, and she said her roof stopped leaking. So I'm just using it to cover up the holes. Some of these may not even have access, but you know what? I'm not taking a chance. Access to the outside from the bottom. But all the places, like all the trim, the plastic, since they have the little plastic inserts. So I'm going to take that off because it's all wood. So I covered all the holes. So that's where all those go in. I ended up covering them. Same thing with all the access points. I haven't done that one yet because it had a little bit of rust. So I used the drill as I showed you prior, and I did everything, like all this bare metal, and that's the 3rd coat. So I know it looks a little sloppy with a bunch of paint, but you know what? 3 coats, I don't care how it looks, it's gonna be under there. And the other thing I started doing is started running the wires. This is that thick wire. I'll show you the end. and that's going to go to the fan, and then the other one will go to all the lights. So now this is going to be ready to insulate the floor. My main thing is I wanted to make sure and run cables before I had to. So the bed is going to be right here. Let me zoom out. The bed is going to be right here. It'll be a sliding bed, and then the platform will continue. Under there you'll have 2 water tanks, 7 gallons each, as mentioned. It's actually one of them right there. And then you'll have the pump there, and I gotta run actually the cable for that as well. And the floor will go, and then you'll have an access access point there. There's going to be an amplifier underneath the desk there for my new radio. And then let's see, so here the cooler, I don't think I'm going to put it here like they normally do right here. So instead I think I'm going to put the cooler here, because when I park and I want access to my bike and things, I'd rather have the cooler there and do a slide out from underneath the bed for the cooler, get to the cooler, and you can slide it right back in. But somebody said that is a good point of like, wait, you may want it inside so you don't have to go outside. But I'm mostly outside. You know what, maybe I'll rethink that. I think I will rethink that. So maybe I will go with the cooler over here. I just then would have to go around, open the side door, open the cooler. But you know what, it just makes more sense, and then we can put a cover on it and make it a seat as well. See how things change when you're going through things? Maybe I should do this from the beginning. Alright, so this is the piece. That's all the stuff that came out of it. And I took off all the little rust. It had a little bit of rust. Actually, I got a little bit more to go, right? It's just dirt there. All that's dirt. But cleaned up all these. I think that's where it came from. They put a divider in, and they may have took off grommets that they weren't supposed to, etc. But it's all nice, and now we're going to treat it. Got my Sharpie. So here's what I just did. I drew a line from this part right across this. I decided I'm going to keep this. It makes a perfect little border there, and then I don't have to worry about the hole here. I know people do it so they can get more flooring, but honestly, I just think the factory edging will help, especially if I'm loading stuff up. I'm not going to end up messing with the floor. So that being said, I got to cut this. So we're going to put it right on the line, right there, and then this one right there, and then another one here. So we got to measure for the next one as well. So let's get to the cutting. Right there, and right there. So that's what it's going to look like for the support. I could add another one right there. It'll be fine. Actually, my OCD. Let's see. We got 3 little ones. Let's see what we can. Perfect. Look at that. That worked out good. And maybe the battery. Well, actually, I've got another one of those. So let's do that. Just came in the mail. There it is. So this is the Gorilla Glue, as I've mentioned before. The pain in the butt thing is getting the back. I learned that if you just squeeze it, and then it comes right off the top of the holes. And we can still screw. That's the one that's bolt down the whole thing, and it'll screw through that, but it makes a nice little seal afterward to make sure no water comes up. Right. I took off a little bit of the rust. I kind of overdid it with the taking off probably even more than I needed to, but still did that. And that actually was all black. And I ended up stripping it down pretty much, and then that's the third coat that I put on there. So as you guys know, that's probably black on yours. I just took it off and put Rust-Oleum paint throughout. These are my front seats. I unbolted them, put them down so I could get kill mat underneath it. So I got kill mat everywhere. There's kill mat in the other. So, and then after that, insulation. Oh wow! I probably added a good person with as much weight as all these boxes. I have the strips ready for the plywood. And over here we're gonna use Artec or that poly, I think it's called poly something, can't remember. And then here, because it's a little tricky in between all this, I went on ahead and put insulation. This is like a thick insulation, so I put 2 of those layers all the way up to the the slits. And down there I put a lot of kill mat. I went just to make sure, and as you can see over there, I'm fanning out there because there was water underneath there. Whoever had this before left a grommet out, and as a result water got in, so I had to sand down a little bit of the rust that was over the paint, treat it with Rust-Oleum, and I'm doing that to the foam to air out the foam. And so if you see, let me get a little tighter. If you see there, I also put insulation on top of the kill mat. And that's where the 2 tanks will be, the 7-gallon over here, 7-gallon over here, and they'll be tied in together. Hard to believe that that's $24. I thought that was going to be a lot more expensive. But I see that everybody uses those for insulation. So, and that should also help with hopefully a little bit more even sound deadening. All that insulation has helped quite a bit, so that's going to help out more. Okay. Look at Enrique right here. This guy needs to have his own place, a little shop. That's what he needs, a shop. We got to make that happen. Anyways, we're putting 2 7-gallon tanks, 14 gallons, and online they've done this, but he perfected it. Instead of it being level so it pulls from both, see what he did? He actually teed off, and that pump is actually going to pull from both of those tanks. And then he also did change little things here and there, so he's actually perfecting it a little bit better than the other one. And as a result, now these tanks are actually sitting lower. And then one thing he did have to do is cut a little bit of the metal, so it actually, the metal goes around the tank and it fits perfect. But 2 7-gallons, 14 gallons of water in a small little transit. So imagine that.
The overflow to this side, because
okay,
it was on this side. So now we have this hose that is gonna be the outlet of the pump.
Yep.
So we have outlet of the pump and overflow.
The overflow
and inlet.
Yep.
And actually, I was going to ask you if we can use this one, the outlet from the pump, to make here maybe like a small hose.
So now moving along to the back doors, I decided to put a panel here. It's got 12 volt and USBs. And then I'll get to the other side right above what we decided to do there. So that's coming up later. But as we continue through the build, you know, it is coming along. Now we're measuring for the wood. And by nightfall, we had the 2 pieces of boards cut down into 2 pieces, the front and the back. And it meets right over the where the wheel wells are right there. And now we're going to just screw it down and making sure everything, there's no squeaks or anything. I just want to make sure when I walk on it, it's not going to squeak or anything like that. So he's getting a little bit there. We're going to make a hole. Or meaning he's going to make the hole.
That's right.
And this hole is to do the shore power. Alright, so we're going to use a grommet. And we're going to put it through here. We're going to connect it to the back of this. And and then shore power. What I may do is see these two other little screws right here. See, it only has for 2, but you would put 2 little more.
Exactly.
So that there's pressure points from all 4.
Exactly.
Yep. So now moving on to the inside of the car. I ended up swapping out the radio to this Boss CarPlay unit. It's nothing major, but just enough to give me a little bit better sounds, and also to give me the maps and as well as a rear view display for the camera. So I am a new content creator here on YouTube, and I'm going to go through this build, and if you want to see part of that, just hit subscribe and you're going to get to see what the end result is for this.